What's going on, guys? In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to get to $10,000 per month as a remote closer with absolutely zero experience, just like I did and just like my business partner Trey did. So in this video, you're in for a treat. This is going to be a pretty long training, so throw do not disturb on. Don't get distracted. Don't watch this in the background of anything. Just focus on this purely, and I promise you're going to get a ton of value out of it. So let's go ahead and dive in. First off, what the hell is remote closing? And I'm glad you asked, because Webster's dictionary defines a remote closer as somebody who works for an online influencer or business that sells a digital product priced $3,000 and above. They talk to people who are interested in potentially buying the digital product on behalf of the influencer or company. Now, there are many different types of digital products you can sell for influencers and businesses, such as courses, training programs, masterminds, marketing services, content services, done-for-you solutions, and many more. For example, you could sell a real estate investing course for $4,000 that was created by somebody who makes a lot of money with real estate and has a big Instagram following. That's a real scenario, actually. You can also sell Facebook ads to local dentists for $5,000 per month that is done by a business that specializes in running Facebook ads for dentists and gets their inbound lead flow of dentists via cold emailing. Another real example. You can sell a Shopify dropshipping mentorship program for $7,000 that is ran by somebody who basically makes great money as a dropshipper with a big YouTube channel. And that's another real scenario, actually, a friend of mine. These are only just a few of the thousands of types of examples, or thousands of types of products that you can sell. And as a remote closer, you don't cold call, or you don't cold email, and you don't knock on doors or anything like that. You talk to people who are already interested in what you sell, and the influencer or the business that you work for takes care of the rest. And your compensation for this, or your pay for this, is 5 to 10% of the price of the product that you sell. So basically, this depends on if you're a closer, aka the person that talks with the interested prospect and closes the deal, or if you are an appointment setter who qualifies the person and gets them interested enough to have an official sales call with the closer. Now, closers make 10% of the price of the product, or what we call a commission, and appointment setters get 5%. Now, on the example of the Facebook ads to dentists for $5,000 a month, a closer would make $500 for every single sale that they make, and an appointment setter would make $250 for every sale that they make. And there are thousands of companies that you can go out there and do this for, and close two deals per day if you're great, and honestly, even just one per day if you're just pretty good. So this is all without having to build your own business, cold call people that don't even want to speak to you, or spend a dime of your own money. And remote closing, at least in my opinion, is the most lucrative online income source that you can build right now. And it's been this way for years, and I would know that because I've been doing it for almost 5 years now. And people are earning anywhere from $7,000 to $25,000 plus per month doing exactly this. Now, just a disclaimer, so don't get sued by Webster's Dictionary. This is not the actual Webster's Dictionary definition. In fact, there's not a remote closer definition in there at all. That was just to be funny. So get used to the cheesy jokes here. Second, what is my credibility to teach you this today? Can I technically just be another online scammer who doesn't back his claims? And honestly, if you're thinking this, you're smart to think this, as you should with literally everybody who's making claims like I have. There's tons of people that I've seen in the remote closing space in particular who have never actually sold anything. They just sell a program of their own. So you're smart to think this. And for a lot of people, it's pretty valid. Now, for me, I've been doing remote closing for about 4.5 years. I've consistently been making anywhere from $10,000 to $27,000 per month since February of 2019. I personally have closed for influencers like Iman Gadzhi, Daniel Contreras on Instagram, Sebastian Escueda, Dan Ryder, and others who are all huge names in their respective niches. And my business partner Trey, who's been doing this for 2 years and has closed, or he closed for arguably the biggest real estate investing teacher on TikTok, like the biggest. Now, Trey closed over $6 million in 2023 alone for this teacher, whose name is Blake. And he also closed nearly $1 million for an Amazon FBA coaching program before that. And he made $380,000 in profit in 2022. Crazy. He's 22 years old. Now, here's some of our monthly commission payouts, just a few. Here's one of mine. This is from January 1st of 2023, so the beginning of this year. I had a $16,380 commission month. Next, this was my second highest month ever, a $26,204 month in November of 2021. And actually, what's crazy about this is this was 6 months earlier that I had this, but I didn't get the money until 6 months later because PayPal locked all of my money up, unfortunately. So this was 6 months earlier, but unfortunately I didn't get it until November. So technically this was in May. Also, a $12,003 month in March of 2020. I wanted to include this specific screenshot from my old high school checking account because this was right in the peak of COVID. This was when everybody was like starting to get laid off. The world was starting to panic. When you think that, this online money, Wi-Fi money sort of thing would be completely imploding, I was thriving and I was making great money. And obviously, with everything that happened, I would never celebrate doing extremely well for myself with all the people being hurt and stuff like that. Obviously, I just wanted to show this as an example was, when the world was panicking and things were bad, I was still able to do well with this. And lastly, here's an $11,200 month in August of 2019. This is actually my first ever month above $10,000, and it's stayed this way since. So I just wanted to include a commission check pretty much from each year up since I started from when I started to now, just to kind of show you how long I've been doing this for. And I have many more of these. I've been collecting checks like these for the past 54 months now. Now, here's a few of Trey's. Trey had a $29,500 month in June of 2022, not even a full year into this. He then had an $87,690 month in August of 2022, so a year and 1 month into this. Then he had a $58,340 month in July of 2022, which was exactly 1 year into sales for him. And he has many more as well. I mean, Trey's been making anywhere from $10,000 to $87,000 per month since September of 2021. And don't just take our word for it, because anybody can throw screenshots your way. Go watch our student interviews playlist on YouTube, and these are all people that we took from $7,500 a month to $20,000 plus per month. We ask them questions, you can get to know them, and heck, we even tell them, what have your bad experiences been with us? And you can go check those out and see if they had any. Here's the link here. I don't think you'll be able to click this, but just go to our channel, click the playlist, and you'll be able to see all the interviews there. Now, third, finally, the meat and potatoes here. How can you, as somebody with absolutely zero experience, become a remote closer making $7,000 to $25,000 every single month? All the time, I get asked, do you need sales experience to get started with remote closing? And my answer every single time is no, absolutely not, because I started with no experience. Although there are a few very, very, very helpful prerequisites when getting into this. The first item is a laptop, obviously. The second is good English and speaking ability. And the third is the willingness to learn a new skill, which takes a little bit of time. And if you have these three things, the rest of this training will change your life if you apply it. You need 3 things to get started that you will have by the end of this tutorial. The first one is the ability to interview and communicate well. The second is the ability to sell. And the third is social media profiles like Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And of course, having prior sales experience can definitely help you and assist you, but it's not needed or required. Like we have salespeople all the time who come from other fields that think they already quote unquote know sales and they'll just come into this industry and blow everybody out of the water. And they think that they don't need anything or they don't need to learn anything else on top of their current skill set, and they're always wrong. Like we watch guys who come from solar, insurance, car sales. They come in and have a pretty hard time because they think their current sales style at their current job is going to work here, and that's absolutely not the case. This space is a much, much different sale than anything else because it's quick. I mean, you're collecting anywhere from $3,000 to $30,000 from somebody within 30 to 60 minutes, 1 to 2 interactions. That's pretty crazy. So, it's just a very skill. It's a different type of sale than really anything else. Now, if you don't have experience, don't worry, we got you. In fact, if you don't have experience, you might have a leg up over these experienced guys because you don't have any bad habits to unlearn. Now, also, everyone at some point had no experience, like me, like Trey, like plenty of our students, like everybody started with no experience. So all these guys that you see making tons of money, Like, guys like Trey and I, we literally started with nothing too, so it's possible. I got into this personally in my senior year of high school at 17 years old with zero former sales experience, and 6 months later, I was making $10,000 profit per month. And Trey got into this his senior year of college and was able to learn this on top of 20 hours worth of finance classes and hit his first $10,000 month in about 5 months. And my success and his success really came down to the 3 things that we mentioned above. And a quick important note before we dive in, like anything, this is absolutely not a get-rich-quick promise. Like, that's not. I will tell you that first and foremost. However, I will promise you that if you do dedicate yourself to doing what we're about to teach you for a decent period of time, meaning at least a few months, and you take that action daily towards your goals, you will make it. Like, you will make it, bro. I'm telling you. Take it from Quentin, who is directly coached by us, one-on-one. He started with 0 experience and 0 skills in December of 2022. So this was like 9 months ago now. He is currently making $20,000 plus per month consistently after I guess now it's 9 months of doing this, and he will never have to go to college ever again. So all his friends are in college, going to university, getting their degrees, and he's making $20,000 per month as an appointment setter because of our coaching and because he's been placed in an amazing company. Simply because he committed to taking this action daily and use exactly what I'm about to show you. So you're about to get some really good stuff, guys. Let's dive in. The next 3 steps are in order. So I need you to get your notepad out and follow these things to an absolute T, no exceptions. Step 1 is the ability to interview and communicate well. Interviewing well consists of a few things, and it's very simple and nearly anybody can do it, and people tend to overcomplicate it all the time. You need to look good, you need to sound good, and you need to sell the business owner or whoever is interviewing you on what you can do specifically for them, okay? When somebody doesn't land a 6-figure closing or setting role, it nearly always comes down to them not doing one of these things that I just mentioned to you. To look good, all you need is to make sure your background is plain and simple with a clean environment, plus to clean up yourself. And guys, I don't know what this little thing is around my eye right here on my camera, so just bear with me. It's bothering me, but I hope it's not bothering you. And if it is, just throw your hand over my face or something. But yeah, you just need a simple background, plain, clean environment, and look clean up yourself. My background is my closet. Right here is a door. Right here is a lamp. I keep it very, very basic. I usually wouldn't wear what I'm wearing now on an interview. I'd have my hair combed back. I'd have a nice collared shirt on, and I'd be looking a little bit spiffier than I do right now, but you get the picture. You can also, don't have a bed in the background. I see guys with beds in the background. Even if it's blurred, you can still tell it's a bed, bro. So, don't have a bed in your background. Don't make it look like you still live at your parents' house. Don't have a mess on the floor. I've seen that too. Guys will have their camera super high up and there's just there's a pigsty on the floor. That looks really bad too. And make sure there's not a lot of people running around behind you. Like, if you're going to do an interview, don't do it in like a Starbucks where there's people in line and chit-chatting and looking at your Zoom. Like, that's just weird. And lastly, no messy hair, no wife beater tank top, and no dark room. Like, make sure that it's easy to see you. I have a window right in front of me. It's very easy to see me right here. Wear a collared shirt, like I said, and make sure to do your hair. It'll give you some bonus points. Even that stuff's not necessarily needed if you're good, but it'll give you some brownie points that are always helpful. The simpler the environment you have, the better, so that the interviewer is focused on you and you only. There's nothing else in the background or there's nothing else going on that has their focus on those things. And to sound good, I would recommend some headphones, where there's no background noise, right? This can be something as simple as some Apple wired headphones, which I have here. I love Apple wired headphones. You can use, AirPods as well. Beats work too. Plenty of headphones. But I would recommend using headphones so that it cancels the noise outside and you can just focus on the interview. And also because the audio tends to be a little bit better when you have earphones with a mic and, you're not using like your laptop's audio or something. You don't need anything super expensive. Like I said, I have wired headphones. And before you do any sort of interview, do a sound check. So take a video of you or, on Zoom, if the interview is on Zoom, you could test your audio. Test your audio to make sure it sounds crisp, it sounds good, it sounds clear. You can hear everything that you're saying because that's super important for interviews. And Lastly, make sure you're not monotone and sounding like a robot on your interview. You want them to get very positive energy from you. And a lot of guys are so focused on like what to say that they forget how they're supposed to say it too. And so therefore they fumble things completely because they're very monotone, very boring. And even though they're saying the right things, it's just not really getting through to the interviewer. Doing this, like all of this that I just walked you through, is immediately going to separate you from like 95% of other people looking to get into this space. And you're going to win potential life-changing positions over those other people. I promise you. It's basically the reason that I landed the most life-changing opportunity of my entire life when I was 17 years old. Because the influencer just picked up on my energy and I left an amazing impression, and he offered me the position of a lifetime. So this works. And this position made me over 200 grand in a year and a half, and it completely changed things for me. So you might be asking yourself, like, why this step versus learning sales or applying to positions? And the reason is very, very simple. I have given so many layup six-figure sales positions to people that had a 90% chance of landing the position as long as they interviewed and communicated just decently. Like, we're talking C+ quality. But they didn't. They completely fumbled it, and they didn't land the role that would have been life-changing to them. And I've seen it happen more than once, so I want to make sure that that's not you, whoever you are watching this video. And I would hate to see that if it were you. So that's why we're making this training here today. Once you learn sales and once you start landing interviews, we want you to basically blow influencers and companies completely out of the water and make them want to pay you to close and set for them on the spot. And we've had that effect on interviewers, so we want you to have that same effect too. This step one here is all that we've done. So I hope that makes sense. I hope you took some notes there. Step 2. Remote Closer University, Sales 101. All right, Sales 101. Now, if you land an interview tomorrow, you're going to be prepared. But what about if you land the position? Like, what if they say you're hired and you have to go talk to an actual prospect on the phone and convince them to give you money? Truth be told, you'd probably shit the bed and never close a deal in your life. Like maybe a couple deals, but not many. Now, we need to make sure that once you land a position, you can actually seal the deal with as many prospects as possible and make money. So I'm about to give you my exact sales call structure laid out A to Z, like barely any, like nothing held back, okay? There's a few parts to it. So this is where you're going to need to get your notepad out because I'm about to get pretty detailed here. The first part of a sales call is what I call the frame. Now, we frame calls because we want the prospect to know exactly how the conversation is going to go. And we want there to be a goal at the end of the call that we're both familiar with at the beginning of the call. So that way we know where things are leading to. And when we drop an offer on them, they're not going to be bamboozled and their timbers aren't going to be shivered and they're going to know it was coming, right? So an example of framing the call looks like this. Hey, John. So the reason for this call is I want to get to know your situation and see exactly where you are at right now. And then once I get to know about your situation, I'd also like to see where you're looking to take things as well. And if I feel like we're the perfect solution for you to be able to bridge that gap and get from where you are right now to exactly where you want to be, I'm going to go ahead and make you an offer. But I want to tell you right now, I don't make offers to everybody because I don't like making offers to people that I don't feel like we can 100% help. Now, if we do get to that point where an offer's on the table, just know we can 110% help you. And once we get to that point, we don't look to waste any time and we look for a yes or no decision at the end of this call. If it's a yes, we can onboard you, get started, and start progressing towards your goals. And if it's a no, then we go our separate ways. No harm, no foul. And in fact, I'll even shoot you a couple resources or anything that we have on hand that I feel like would help you with your specific scenario here. Does that sound like a fair structure for this call? That way we're making the best use of everybody's time? John will say yes, and then we move on, okay? So that was off the cusp, kind of rough, but you get the picture. Next, I like to ask the prospect why they chose us specifically. Why did they choose to reach out to us or book a call through our links or come to us instead of our competitors. I'm curious what made them choose us, because we're going to go down one of two paths when we ask this question. They're either going to be like, oh, because I love all your content, I love your stuff, I've been indulging myself in it, I've been checking everything out, I loved this podcast, this video, this ad that I saw. Or they're going to be the polar opposite of that and be like, yeah, saw an ad, seemed interesting, and reached out. And it's basically going to give us a temperature gauge on how warmed up this prospect is, which is essentially how much we're going to need to sell this person, right? Because if they're very warmed up, it's going to be less selling because they're very familiar with us and they're probably pretty pre-sold on us too. Now, if they're not warmed up, camera cut out there. But if they're not warmed up, then we got some work to do. We have to show them things. We have to walk them through, maybe some testimonials and some client success stories and what the inside of our product looks like so that we can build enough trust with them in our call to get them to want to make a buying decision at the end of it, okay? So an example of this would be like, awesome, John, after he agrees to the frame, awesome, John, just curious, what made you reach out to us specifically? Super simple, guys. Nothing super complicated. And then from there, they will tell you where they are at and how warm or cold that they are. And then we would go from there. Once we get this, we'll typically go into goals and why. Now, we need goals and why. And the reason we need goals and why is because I like to paint what's called Heaven Island. I actually got this from another sales trainer, but Heaven Island is their desired state, their ideal scenario. We want to get them super, super excited about their ideal scenario, and we want them to paint that entire picture for us so that once we get their current situation, there is a wide gap between the two. And the bigger that gap can be between their current scenario and their desired scenario, the more of a chance we have at selling this person. So we need the goals and why first. An example of this would be like, John, what is your goal with remote closing, right? Let's just say we're selling remote closing. John, what is your specific goal with remote closing? And then John says, I want to make $10,000 a month. Then we would ask, awesome. Or we would say awesome and ask, John, I'm curious why you chose $10,000 specifically. Why not $9,000? Why not $15,000? Why not $1,000? Why have you settled on $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year profit specifically as your goal? I'm just curious the reasoning. And then John will tell you. Super, super simple. Goals and why. Now, once we figure out the goals and why, we will build the other side of the gap, which is what's called Hell Island. And this is just their current situation, right? And I got the Hell Island term from another sales trainer too, and I think it's super applicable. You're just basically getting to know their exact current situation and everything about it, so that gap between the desired state and the current state is evidently clear, and that gap is very wide. So current or example of this is, John, tell me what your life looks like right now and be as descriptive as possible if you don't mind, right? Then they'll tell you their work, they'll tell you everything that they have going on, what their life looks like, right? And then typically what I like to do here is if I'm selling something make money online related, I like to dive into their work specifically, because anybody looking into an online income source is probably not satisfied with their job, whether that's because of their income, how much they work, whatever it might be. So how this would look like is I'd be like, nice, and I know you mentioned that you're a school teacher, John. So how do you like being a school teacher? Super simple. Usually they'll be like, oh, I really like being a school teacher. It's fun. Or they'll be like, I don't like being a school teacher. And when they say I don't like being a school teacher, which is the reply you'll get most of the time, I like to ask, what specifically do you not like about it? And then they will tell me what they specifically don't like about it, which will naturally lead me into urgency, the urgency to change their situation. And then once they tell me what they don't like about their situation, I will automatically go into urgency by asking them, what is inspiring you to change this now? Or even better, you can layer it with two questions. You can ask them, John, so you're telling me all these pain points about your job specifically now, and we already talked about your goals. So is now the time that you feel like you want to change it, like now ASAP, or do you not really care when it happens? Of course, John's going to say, yes, now, ASAP. And then from there, you can ask why specifically. Why is now that time? Why not a month from now, 3 weeks from now, 3 months from now, a year from now, heck, a week from now? Like, why is right now this time? And what would you say, is really making you urgent? Then he'll tell you what's urgent. Super simple, guys. And we need urgency from them. We need the urgency to change their situation from them so that we can use it to get them to want to buy at the end of a call. Not in some pushy car salesman, Grant Cardone kind of way, but just so we can hold them accountable to their highest version of themselves. Okay? So urgency to change it, you can naturally transition into it after you get to know their current situation and why they want to change it. Next, you want to figure out why they can't change their situation on their own. And we need this because a common objection that beginner salespeople get at the end of a sales call from a prospect is, let me go try this myself, right? And you and I both know that, I guess at least I know, if a prospect goes and tries something on their own, it's probably not going to work. They don't have accountability. They don't know if they're following the right roadmap. Plenty of things can go wrong. So we want to get them to say out loud why they can't fix their situation and why they can't get where they want to be without help. So an example of this, John, you said you want to be at $10,000 a month so that you can quit your job and travel the world with your family. But I'm just curious, why haven't you gotten to this point with remote closing yet? Like, what specifically is holding you back from getting there or from having been there already? And then John will say, well, because I don't have the resources, I don't have, a coach. I don't like, they'll tell you what you want to hear. They will tell you what they are currently lacking in their scenario now. That's not allowing them to get there. And that's a super simple way to build it. But you need to get that. Otherwise, you will get that do it myself objection at the end of the sales call, which makes you want to punch a hole in the wall. Okay. Next, you need to dive into timing. Okay. Timing is basically getting the prospect to admit that now is the best time. They can get started now. They have the time that's required of them to get started now, and nothing's in their way. Sorry, I had a quick sneeze right there. So an example of this is, John, I'm very confident we can get you to $10,000 a month and traveling the world with your family once you've quit your job. Like, I'm confident we can get you there. We have plenty of people that have done that. But I'm just going to let you know and be honest with you, it's going to take about 20 hours a week of your time to learn this skill and do that on top of what you're doing right now. So, John, do you have 20 hours a week? John will say yes, and then I'll say, are you sure? Like, I know you got the teaching job. I know you got a wife. You have kids. I don't know if there's vacations, surgeries, anything like that coming up that would remotely get in the way of this. Like, are you positive you'll have 20 hours a week despite everything that I just mentioned? John will say yes, and then I'll say perfect. And again, the reason why we want to get this objection is so that they don't delay the sale at the end of the call. And they don't throw some sort of like, oh yeah, let me just wait 2 more months so I can go on this vacation. You don't have to deal with that at the end of the call because they're eliminating that here. Okay. Next, we go into spouse partner. This is one of the most common objections in the sales game. Okay. As a prospect being like, yeah, let me go talk to my wife, or let me go talk to my husband, or let me go talk to my business partner. So very, very simple when it comes to handling this, guys. It's not difficult. All you have to do is ask them, John, are you married? Or do you have a business partner? Let's just use the marriage example though. John, are you married? John says yes. You say, awesome. What does your wife think of this? I guess in this day and age, you might want to ask, is it a husband or a wife? But let's say he says wife. What does your wife think of this? Is she supportive of you getting to $10,000 a month so that you can quit your teaching job and travel the world and take her with you? Like, is she supportive of this vision? And then John will say yes. And then if John says yes, I like to say awesome. And is she supportive of you potentially investing money into coaching to ensure that that happens? And then John will say, yes, hopefully. If he says no, then ideally we end the call right there so we can get the wife on the call. Or we're just planning on maybe getting John on a deposit at the end of the call rather than getting him to pay in full so that his wife doesn't divorce him, but that's for a future video. But ideally he says, yes, she's supportive. He'll probably say something like, it just kind of depends how much, but if she's supportive of him making a financial decision to change the situation, that's awesome. Now, I like to add one more question on top of this. I like to say, awesome, John. And the reason why I'm asking is because kind of like I said, we like to move forward at the end of the call if it's a great fit. We move with speed, and honestly, speed is what's going to be your best friend in terms of, getting you to $10,000 a month so you can travel the world with your family. So let's say we get to the point here where I make you an offer, we're ready to move forward, and the investment is in your ballpark. Are you in 110% control of making that decision to process the payment and potentially move forward, or would you need to consult your wife first? Again, not even saying that we're there yet because I haven't made you an offer. I'm just saying theoretically, if it were to happen, where would we stand? And then John will say, yeah, I could do that. I can make that decision on my own. Then perfect, we move on. But if he's like, yeah, I couldn't make that decision on my own, then I like to, like I said, either schedule a second call right then and there, or just try to get John on a deposit at the end of the call, so that way we can get the wife on the call or on a second call and close her on it so that John can pay in full. So kind of confusing right there, but this is a very delicate part of the call, is properly handling this spouse/partner section here. And a lot of guys screw this up and lose deals because of it. So I hope you took some notes there. Next, I like to flip the script. I like to tell them what our requirements are, and I like the prospect to have to sell themselves a little bit, so it flips that narrative. Super easy way of doing this is, John, we have a few requirements. First is time, which we've already required. Second is you need to be coachable. I need you to be able to raise your hand in here whenever you have a question, and I also need you to be receptive of advice. You can't get mad if we give you some harsh criticism or if we give you some advice, because you need to know that we have the same goal here. We are completely aligned in terms of where you want to go, and we're going to give you the advice that we know you need to hear in order to get there. Now, John, are you going to be receptive to that? And are you going to be able to raise your hand when you have any questions whatsoever? John will say yes, and then I'll say perfect. And then if you want to, whatever requirements your offer has, you can throw in there too. That's just an example though. So again, that way it makes John have to be like, yes, I will do this. Trust me. And he has to sell himself to us. Flipping that narrative and flipping that script a little bit definitely helps. It makes us seem not as pushy, not as salesy. Lastly, or I guess the last couple things, is once we flip the narrative, or once we flip the script and we get those requirements of ours to him and he agrees and he sells himself to us, we then dive into what I call is the pre-pitch thesis. Now, a big problem the industry has right now, at least in my opinion, is they do very, very basic transitions to their pitch. Yeah, John, I feel like we can definitely help you. Do you want me to walk you through what that would look like? Or yeah, John, $10,000 a month is definitely doable. You want me to walk you through the details of what we do to get there? And that's fine. Like, it works. It's not that big of a deal, but I like to give them a full-on thesis as to why I think we can specifically help them. So I get them bought in on that idea that we actually can. So therefore, they're excited to hear my pitch and they're excited to what I have to say next, because I put a lot of thought and a lot of detail into why I specifically think that we can help them. And it doesn't feel salesy at that point. So an example of a pre-pitch thesis would be something like this. John, I am 110% confident that we can help you now. Beginning of the call, I wasn't sure, but after getting to know your exact situation, I'm confident that we can get you there, okay? You said that you want to get to $10,000 a month, travel the world, and quit your teaching job. You remember saying that? Yes, perfect. I'm completely confident that we can get you there for a few reasons. The first one is you said you're a very consistent and hardworking person. Even when the teaching job is draining you, taking all of your energy, taking all of your effort, and it's just it just has your gas tank empty, you're still the guy who's going to show up every single day and be there at work, giving the best teaching to your students, and also being there for your family as well. And consistency and dedication like that is exactly what you're going to need here to succeed. So I see you doing that in other areas. And if that translates here, you're going to blow this out of the water, man. And the second reason is you told me that you're not looking for some get rich quick method. You're okay with this taking 3, 4, 5, 6 months to ramp up and get you to that point where you can quit your job by making $10,000 a month with this. So the fact that you have that long-term mindset and you're not looking to get rich tomorrow, that's a huge green flag for us, because that shows that you're coming into this with the right tools in your toolkit. And then once we give you the tools in ours, you're going to be lights out. So because of your mindset, I also think that we can help you too. Now, John, I already told you I'm 100% confident that we can help you get to $10,000 a month so that you can travel the world and quit your teaching job. And I'd love to walk you through the exact step-by-step process of what that would look like getting there for you. But I'm just curious, is that something you'd like to hear at this point, or should I not bother? John will say, damn right, that's what I want to hear. But yeah, let's do it. Walk me through it. You'll get a good response from them when you give them that thesis. Because again, it shows you're listening and they don't feel like they're being sold to. They feel like you're just, what you're helping them and that you actually listened to what they said earlier in the call. And I promise you guys, it's going to score you some brownie points. Once I switched to doing this, the people that I was talking to got so much more excited for my pitch. I'm still pitching them, but they were actually excited for it. And you want them to be excited for it so that they listen to what you're saying during the pitch. And when they listen to what you're saying, they're going to be more sold. So anyways, that's an example of a pre-pitch thesis. Now, the way I pitch is very, very, very simple. I like to go over 2, maybe 3 steps that we're going to be taking them through to get them to their desired goal. I like to explain those super, super quick, and then I like to lay out the deliverables or how it's actually going to be given to them really, really quick, and that's it. My pitch takes maybe 2 to 4 minutes maximum, okay? So I'll give you a real example of an offer that I sold just a few months ago of exactly what I pitched to prospects on that offer so you can see what it looks like in real time. So I would pitch people like this. John, the first step to getting you to $10,000 a month with your day trading so that you can quit your job and travel the world is actually what I'm going to call learning, okay? In fact, you're going to learn the basics here, John. We're not going to dive into, the markets. We're not going to dive into, trading from day one. Hell, we're not even going to dive into putting your money into an account yet. We're going to show you the strategy first. Then once you're 100% confident with the strategy, John, we're then going to help you trade in a paper trading account. Do you know what paper trading is, John? John would say yes. If he said no, I would just explain what paper trading is to him. If you don't know what paper trading is, it's basically just where you trade the real markets with fake money. But I'd be like, awesome, John. So we're going to get you started trading with fake money, but the real markets. That way you can afford to screw up as much as you'd like. And if you win a ton, you're winning fake money too, which kind of sucks. But this way you can learn without having to put a single dollar of yours on the line. The thing where a lot of traders go wrong is they put their dollars on the line from day one, lose it, and they think trading is a scam or it's something that doesn't work when that's not the case. The great traders get good at trading with fake money before they get good at trading with real money. So that's exactly what we're going to do with you. Just to recap, we're going to teach you our exact strategy, A to Z, so you know exactly what's going on, exactly what to do, and exactly what to look for and pull the trigger on. And then we're going to execute that strategy with fake money, with a paper trading account. And once you're consistently profitable with your paper trading account, we will then bump you up into live trading, which is where you're going to start actually trading your real money, but with very small dollar amounts at a time. And then once you're consistently profitable with that, we're going to continue trading with larger and larger dollar amounts until you're at your desired profit level. That's that simple, or it's that simple. And you're just going to continue increasing that dollar amount that you trade with once you are consistent to the point where you're making $10,000 in profit a month. And in fact, this is exactly how we have Marcus at $30,000 a month profit, is he's just continued scaling. He's continued increasing that dollar amount because he's so confident that he will make it back. That's exactly what we're going to do for you, John. Does step 1 make sense though? John will say yes, and then we'll move on. And again, guys, that was off the cusp. I haven't pitched that in a few months, but it's like you're keeping it very short, very to the point. And you notice how I wasn't like, yeah, and you're going to be going through course videos, and you're going to have a one-on-one coach, one-on-one coach with one-on-one calls every single day, 25, weeks a year. Like, I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't naming anything specific that he's going to be doing. It was very high level outcomes we're going to be achieving. He's going to go through the training, learn the strategy, learn exactly what to do, and then trade with fake money so he can get consistent. And then once he's consistent, we're going to trade with real money, and he's going to continue increasing that amount until he's at his desired profit level. So it's like I didn't really name anything specific, but he gets the gist of exactly what's going on. And that way we avoid getting into the weeds. And getting into the weeds is the worst. That's when the prospect's just asking you a bunch of useless questions about your product that make you lose all momentum going into the end of the sale here. So anyways, I like to pitch in 2 to 3 key steps, quickly summarized, Just do the high level destinations. Don't get into the weeds of all the nits and crannies of your service, and just give them a high level summary. Okay. And then once you do that, you then go into the price drop. Now, at the end of the pitch, I like to quickly gauge how the prospect feels about our offer and about our product before we drop price. So this way, if we get objections at the end of the call, the only objections we're going to get are going to be related to money. So how I will do this is I will go, John, after hearing the exact step-by-step layout that we're going to be following to get you to $10,000 per month out of your job and travel and with your family, how do you feel about the roadmap and just about the entire structure of the program from 1 to 5? 1 being like, this is the worst program you've ever heard of. You have 0 confidence in it. And 5 being like, you have 100% confidence in it. You know this is exactly what's going to get you to that $10,000 a month point, and it's exactly what you want to do right now. Where specifically are you between both of those numbers? Then John will tell us. And you need to be very careful with your language here. Go rewatch exactly what I just said, because that's exactly how you should say it. But this is going to get him to tell us how he feels about it before we drop the price, which is huge. Because if John's a 5 out of 5 right here, we can go into the price drop confidently knowing the only objection we're probably going to get is due to price, if there's an objection at all. Whereas if you don't do this, you don't know if an objection he gives you at the end of the call is going to be a smokescreen, if it's going to be something that's fake they're throwing out your way to get out of the call. It just gets kind of hectic when you get that far. And so that's why we do this. You want to just check where they're at, see what their thoughts are before you drop price. If they're at a 5, we move into price. If they're at a 1, 2, 3, 4, we need to figure out exactly what's holding them back from being a 5. If we need to fix it, we need to explain ourselves and walk them through whatever they need to see to get to a 5 before we drop the price. Okay? So the pitch and just kind of gauging where they're at 1 to 5 is so important pre-price drop, guys. But once they're at a 5, they've told you why they're at a 5, they're feeling good, that's when I drop the price, because that's when we have the most momentum. And here's how I drop price. So, John, the investment for us to get started on everything I walked you through so that we can get you to $10,000 a month and quitting your job so that you can travel the world with your family, it's literally just a one-time investment of $10,000. Super simple. Nothing crazy. Nothing super advanced, just a very simple price drop with the outcome he wants to achieve dropped right before the outcome. So that way, when you throw an expensive price tag at him, his mind doesn't just think, oh man, it's 10 grand. He thinks 10 grand, that's a lot of money, but he did say it would give me a 10K a month out of my job and traveling with my family, right? He'll justify it a little bit more. Whereas if you're just like, awesome, John, so the price for the program is 10K. He'll be like, no matter what you say, he'll be like, damn, that's a lot of money. So this helps me in getting them to justify it in their heads a little bit more. So desired situation before the price drop. Just gave you an example of that. And this is the exact sales call structure, guys, that I've used to close over $5 million in deals and make over $600,000 in total commission for myself. And this is also the exact sales call structure that Trey has used to close over $6 million and make over $500,000 in total commission. It works insanely well if executed right. And honestly, I would recommend rewatching it multiple times over just to get to know my exact sales call structure, guys. And use this on your sales calls so that once you land an opportunity, you can close everything. You can close more than a freaking door does. That's step 2, though. Step 3 is landing a position with $7,000 to $25,000 per month on track earnings. Arguably the most difficult part, but I'm going to make it fairly simple for you here. Now, there's no point in getting really good at communicating and really good at interviewing and really good at selling if you're never able to actually showcase it. You know, because you can be good at those things, but if you don't have an offer to showcase it on, you're not going to make any money. So this is where step 3 comes in. And this is where you land in a position to, showcase these skills that you've been building up to this point. Now, there's a few different ways that you can land a position in this space with no experience. And below is a list of these ways ordered from best to worst, but all of them work. First one is private connections. This is private connections to business owners, recruiters, salespeople, and others who are well connected in this space. Me, for example, I'm very well connected in this space. It would be to have a private connection like me. Second free communities. A lot of free communities out there with job postings in. Third, cold outreach. Cold outreach is actually how I landed my first position, so don't knock it just because it's the third option here. First, private connections. There are thousands of people or thousands of positions available in this field for both closers and setters right now. I can tell you that because I have 2 to 3 slide across my table pretty much every single day for, people, and I give those to my inner circle. Some are public, some are also completely private. Now, without connections such as recruiters, business owners, salespeople, and any other people who are well connected in this market, you risk not knowing about the off-market gigs, the positions that aren't public, and there's plenty of them. And usually these off-market gigs, these non-public gigs, are the most lucrative, meaning you can make the most money and earn the most overall. So it's super beneficial to be connected to people like the ones I've mentioned above. But how do you do that? The short answer is it's very difficult. These people have multiple people trying to get a position that are reaching out to them every single day. So unless you have remote closing experience already or you pay them money, it's going to be difficult to get these people to hook you up with the position, just being completely honest with you. So this method is off the table unless you have experience in this space or you pay somebody to completely train you and then place you into a high OTE role like Trey and I's Inner Circle Mentorship Group. But the next 2 options should be plenty to land your first lucrative position for free and eventually build your own private connections in this space. Number 2, free communities. I've seen a ton of free communities where both business owners and recruiters make posts almost daily looking for new closers and setters. And if you want to be a part of these communities, it's super simple. Just go to Facebook, select groups so that when you're searching something in the search bar, it shows you all the groups that are named that, and type in high ticket sales or remote closing. You're going to see some examples like this. I'll make these pictures. Actually, if I do that, it'll mess up the whole page. But you'll see here, there's like 5 groups right here. When you look up remote closing, you can join all of these. All of these are groups with job opportunities. Same with high ticket sales. There's like 5, 6 groups right here you can go join. All you have to do is join these free groups and then go through them 1 to 2 times per day and apply to every single position that you see in there. And I've definitely met people who have landed some really, really solid opportunities just using this free method alone. So you definitely need to try it. Don't knock it. The only con, and I will say this, the only con to Facebook groups is what I call high volume, low quantity. So the same as anybody can join the group, anybody can also post a sales job in it too. So sometimes there's business owners advertising multi-level marketing schemes, pyramid schemes, or scam operations. The good thing is they're very easy to spot. So just make sure that the person who posted the job looks like a real person from America or from the UK, and that it doesn't sound like an MLM or a pyramid scheme at all. And some clear signs that it is they're not very clear of the product. Like they'll tell you that you can make all this money, but they're not really clear on what you're selling. Or it's a weirdly high commission rate. Weirdly high. Remember, 5 to 10% is the average. Anything higher than like 15, maybe 20 is a huge red flag. So if they're promising these high commissions, it means you're probably selling something kind of weird. So go rip, go join those communities, and land some positions, guys. Number 3, cold outreach. This is the third way, and honestly, you can land some really baller opportunities this way, guys. And cold outreach is basically just approaching somebody who doesn't know you, and you're offering them a product or a service. And before you disregard this option and go to those free communities, cold outreach is exactly how I landed my first $150,000 a year position with 0 experience whatsoever. And it's also how Trey landed his $380,000 a year position with minimal experience as well. All right, camera turned off. We're back. It works insanely well, though, if it's done correctly. And cold outreach consists of 2 parts, hunting and firing. Hunting is step 1. This is where we hunt and we find people with high-ticket offers that need setters and closers. And this is done on Instagram, and you can use platforms like TikTok and YouTube to find even more people to message on Instagram. On Instagram, you're going to start by doing what I call is a keyword search or a hashtag search. Examples: dropshipping, stock trade, marriage coach, dating coach, Airbnb investor, etc. Like any niche that you're interested in getting into. And this will bring up people that look like this. there's this person, this profile, all have pretty high followings, and looks like they sell something. And when you find somebody, you want to do some digging on their profile to see if there's any indication that they offer a product or a service. A few ways to determine if they sell something go as follows. Their bio says something like DM me X. They have a highlight in their bio that says student results, client results, testimonials, work with me, etc. You can see a perfect example of both of these. My Instagram at Caden.Jaramillo. You can go see that. Their bio has a link that pushes you to a free training or a webinar as well. So if they have a free training or some webinar, they're probably selling you something there too. And after you find somebody that has one of these, it's safe to say they have some form of a digital service that they're selling. So go click on message once you see their profile so you can reach out to them. And then this is when we execute step 2, which is fire. When you fire and when you message them, you want to use a DM script similar to this one that I'm about to show you. Not exactly this one. You want to adjust the wording a little bit, just since the other people watching this video are going to be copying and pasting it, which won't work. But just something similar. Adjust it a little bit. Hey, John, 2 quick things. Number 1, I love. Insert something very specific you like about their account or a post they've made. And number 2, after going through your account, it looks like you might offer some consulting. Are you by chance looking for any closers or appointment setters right now? I know I could do super well for you. Again, change the wording and feel free to add a little bit of your own sauce to it so you don't send the exact same thing as everybody else watching this video. And do this to 15 to 25 people every single day, guys. And if you stay consistent with it for the next 45 days, I would literally bet my entire life savings that you will either land a closing position or an appointment setting position with $5,000 to $25,000 per month on track earnings, even with no experience. And this is exactly how I landed my first opportunity. And my first opportunity ended up being a $10,000 to $26,000 per month position for me at 18 and 19 years old, which is pretty crazy. It changed my life. And the cool part is 99% of people watching this video won't even go do this. 30% will try for a few days and then quit. 30% will try for 1 to 2 weeks and then quit. 30% will try for 3 to 4 weeks and then quit. And only 10% will have actually implemented this for the full 45 days. So these are the people that will get what they want out of this video, which is a position with $10,000 plus per month income potential. It's also how Trey landed his first $100,000 per year position as a 20-year-old with zero experience. And take it from the both of us. Like, we both literally started with zero and basically had no money. At least I did. Like, I was in the negatives when I started this stuff. And the only thing that we had was a work ethic. That's very, very simple, is we had a work ethic that nobody can match. And we had the willingness to stay very consistent with this. And now, years later, we're living our dream lives at 22 years old. And you can do this too if you just follow this roadmap we've laid out here now. Now, where do you go from here? 1, you get your smartphone and your laptop, you get to a place with some Wi-Fi, and you follow this exact outline and you get to work. And you can message me or Trey on Instagram with any questions that you have. My IG is this, at Caden Jaramillo. Trey's IG is this, ACHLDRSS. And if you'd like to work with us personally so that you have the best chances of landing a $10,000 plus per month position as a remote closer or appointment setter, apply for a call for the Inner Circle in the link in the description. Our Inner Circle is a private coaching community where we will literally work with you and train you directly, and we will train you on everything that I discussed in this video and provide 10 times more of the detail to you just to make sure that you 100% have it down. You're going to learn everything that we've ever done. And then we will help you get placed into a setting or a closing position with $7,000 to $25,000 per month earning potential, but it's only for the serious and the committed. So if you're not serious, you're not committed, like, don't even consider it. Don't apply if you don't have the traits above and a great attitude. And if you'd like to see proof that the Inner Circle is the best remote closing and setting trading on the entire market, check out the rest of our channel. You can see some of our student interviews ranging from $7,500 a month to $22,000 a month. And we have other trainings on here as well. But overall, if you want to join the Inner Circle, book a call in the description. And if not, I hope you got value from this, guys. And I hope you continue watching the trainings on this channel because it's plenty for you to get started with remote closing and get started with landing that first position that could change your life. So Hope you got a lot of value, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.